All right, so this is a 4L60. They have a lot of nicknames. Anyway, we're going to show how to put this output shaft from NOVAK in this built transmission. So if you already have like a good used one or a built one that you bought that's for like a GM application and you want to put one in your Jeep, that's what we're going to show how to do. This is Chris. He works there. He works with me, one of my employees, good friend. And this is pretty much all you need. 13 millimeter, take all the pan bolts off. That's usually what those are. A 10 millimeter, snap ring pliers, flathead, pocket screwdriver, and the output shaft. All right, I can do this possibly blindfolded, but Chris, I'm gonna have him do it. We're gonna do it live. He's never done it. So take the O-ring off first. Probably just go like this, watch. I'll go teach you a trick, just squeeze it like that, and roll her up. Roll that up. These are already loose, these bell housing bolts. They're kind of just there for effect. So these are already loose. You'll need if you do have to take this out, you have to get a Torx plus 50 and back all those out. So that'll just pick right up off. And then what we'll do is loosen this and put her on her back horse. Grab 13, I think it's 16 or 17 pan bolts. Throw that out of the way. Put that over there. Wiggle the filter out of there. Go like, there you go. Brand new seal in there, so that's a little tight. All right, take that one off because that's going to be in your way. 10 millimeter, that's like a guard for the dipstick when it comes through. And then undo that. And then pop that clip out of that lockup solenoid like this. Hold on, let me twist it a little bit. Yeah, twist it over. There you go. And go straight at it. Gotta go like straight at it. Put your hand over it unless you want to catch that in the grill piece. There you go. That should wiggle right out of there. Like this. There. And then those two 10s. Don't drop those into the pump. That'll be fun. It's fun when you drop it down that hole and you gotta fish it out of the magnet. And grab the bigger flathead overlar. Catch it like right here, right underneath that. Pop that out. All right, and then get her on her feet again. All right, twist her up. And all these 13s, 7 of those. Watch that one. You still got the ring on. I just saw that seal about to come off. Yeah, it's still on there. I just don't want you to lose it. Oh, fuck, I'll just throw that on the ground. He said the naughty word. All right, grab the flathead and catch it. Catch it like right there, a little bit more, and then just give it one smart like smack down. Yep. Going a little bit deeper. And you pull her up. See, sometimes if they're not aligned right, like if somebody's previously built this or there's a bunch of like corrosion right here, that can be a little bit more difficult. If you rip that right there, it's okay. I mean, it's not ideal, but he didn't because there's no feed hole right there, so that's fine. This is kind of tricky. I might do this, but you gotta turn the band loose. You kind of, because there's a little dowel pin right there. You have to, we're gonna like roll it off of it. I've done it literally 1,000 times. You kind of like roll it off. You'll see here in a second. And then what you do is you just pull this straight out. This is the reverse input drum. It has the forward clutches. Coast clutches are a little deeper in there, and then the 3/4 clutches are right there. This is the band. It's the 2/4 band. This is all, irrelevant, but just little parts ID. But this is the dowel pin, you want to call it, the anchor. Yeah, I'm calling it the wrong word. That goes in this hole. That's what holds one side of the band. The band servo applies on that side right there. And then that's the output shaft right there. This is as deep as you got to dig into it. This can be tricky. I might get it out. If you will grab that so it doesn't fall, and you just put the snap ring pliers in it and you find the opening. Let's see if I can zoom in. You see it right there. See if I can get it all out one-handed and film and not catch it in my mouth. I didn't put my mouth guard in. So you start to release a little bit. Oh man. And then that should fall out. Maybe I'll push it up just like that. And then here's a stock output shaft compared to a hot one we just washed. It had some dust on it. So this is what normally goes into the transfer case on a GM, and this, I guess, that NOVAK makes, adapts it to the, what is that?
Stock Jeep transfer case.
What is it called?
NP241.
NP241. And it looks like it's like a true billet piece. I mean, it's a pretty nice piece, and that's that snap ring groove. Sometimes you gotta like, so you don't really pull this out at all, because that can screw up the alignment, and I'll hold it down, and you might have to, hold on a second, let me grab you the hammer. Here's this, and just let me, before you do it, let me hold it, just smack it right there in the middle.
All right.
I'll hold it down. Sometimes the splines are a little bit tight. Yeah, wiggle it until you feel it start. Is it going? Here, let me give her a try. I'll hold this for a second. Let me feel it. Good. Testing it. I might take it externally. Let's see what this feels like before we get too far. It's just a really tight fit. That's good. Okay. Not that I doubted this. That's just a, obviously when you rebuild a 4L60, you don't really ever have to replace an output shaft. So that one's just brand spanking new, and it's a little bit tight going in there. All right, so that's in place. This is the front planet, some sort of hub. I can never remember what this is called. I think the input drive hub or something like that. We'll get that back down in there. Let me try this again. So what I'm doing is I'm holding the planet down, because if you push this out, it'll push this whole thing out. So I'll hold the planet down like that, and you wiggle it a little bit. You'll feel it start to align. Keep wiggling it. Sometimes you gotta hold that down a little bit. This is a brand new output shaft, which all splines are just, really tight. I had to take out the rear planet ring gear, front planet, sun shell. You got to do it a little bit different. It just didn't want to go in. It's so tight, which is good, that I'm having to just tap the output shaft into the rear, the rear ring gear, which is okay. It's coming in. You just gotta tap it in with the brass drift, and you don't have to do that with stock ones, but we joke that new parts, especially aftermarket stuff, they don't always just go right together. And it's not that they're bad or anything. It's just aftermarket stuff's like that sometimes. The rear planet assembly, the low sprag, that's still right there. Just go back in with the rear sun gear and put the black washer and then the sun shell. Front planet, all that's in place. That's good. see if you can zoom down in there. You see the snap ring groove of the output shaft protruding. And I don't know if you can capture on this, but can you see how, let me give it a little contrast. You see how those openings, they're chamfered slightly? Put it in like that, and whoever takes it apart in the future will be happy. Because when you grab it with the snap ring pliers, it will stay right there. And then you can, like, one-handed just get that snap ring when you gotta push it down. And there you go, the snap ring is right in the groove, and then the output shaft won't jump in and out. You can see the opening. Make sure that's, you know, still down. I can grab it one-handed, and you kind of just gotta wiggle, lift, twist, and pull all at the same time. There, that's down, and then the way you tell it's down is you lift up a little bit. This is the trickier part. What I do is you kind of split this little opening right here with these two. Go down like this, got it almost down. Then you have to get the band into the band servo, that side, and you can push this down, and you have to get the opening of the band onto the anchor. And I kind of just like roll it in, help it a little bit. And it'll be obvious once you get it on there. Just like that. And you can see the up a little bit. That's the anchor right there that you can see sliding in and out on the opening of the band. And then this is on the pin in the servo. And I'll grab it like this and, you know, make sure everything spins. You know, you got that right. This comes up and down a little bit. Grab your pump gasket. Slide her in there. Clock it the right way. And I will. Oopsies. It's still got, you know, assembly grease on it so it can go down.
You want to say something about this? Make sure that doesn't get stuck too.
Yeah, make sure your pump washer doesn't fall. I always, the last thing I do before I drop a pump is I'll make sure, you know, the sealing rings look good and that the pump washer is still there, and then make sure you got the pump O-ring on and it's lubed. And I'll just usually like pick one bolt hole in my mind and be like, all right, I need to line that one. I'll just like align that one and just come down with it, and then wiggle it past the sealing rings, and then walk the pump down. I like to kind of start them all at the beginning. Make sure it's not binding on the threads. I always like to look, make sure the O-ring's still on it. It's a bad time getting a transmission installed and you're like, oh, it's pouring fluid because I didn't get the O-rings on. And then I like to walk it down, probably overly cautious. Probably some expert in the comments right now telling me I'm wrong. That's okay. What you're walking it through is the O-ring into the chamfer of the case. There you go. This little matte coat gun does it like perfectly. It's not strong enough to strip it, so. And then you can grab your bell housing. Also a good idea to start these a thread or two. Make sure you don't cross thread those. And you bust out your Ingersoll Rand. Como se llama? Bonita. Como se llama? Bonita. Shakira, Shakira. Oh, walking into the light. And you kind of just, I go crisscross applesauce. And all it takes is just one little smack with the Ingersoll at 100 50 psi shot pressure. And then just roll that sucker back on there. And you gotta get his horse on her back. And you kind of just wiggle this back in, just like that. Once again, grab you the perfectly strong enough Matco. Oh, come on, baby. Wiggle your lockup solenoid. I never remember if that's the PWM and that's the lockup, or that's the lockup, that's the PWM. I think I just said that. I never remember, but both of these are the lockup solenoids. This is the 3-2 downshift solenoid. Shift solenoid A and B, pressure control solenoid, manifold pressure switch. Maybe I didn't forget something. Put this little guard back on. Wiggle your filter back in. Wow, that came out nice. Give her one last look over and wipe her down. All right, yeah, filter on, everything's not missing any bolts. There you go. This is the reluctor that it looks identical to like a 2-wheel drive reluctor on a stock 4L60, so I'm quite certain that that's got the same count as a stock 2-wheel drive 4L60. And then Chris's Jeep is on Holly, so the output speed, that's where it gets output speed signal from, so it knows how fast it's going, so it knows when to command a shift. So there you go, that's how you put the NOVAK output shaft into a already built, or it doesn't matter that's already built 4L60 for an LS swap. And what is yours a? What generation Jeep is it called? The JK?
Yeah.
JK. Just kidding. I don't know all the different XJ, YJ, TJ. Real Jeeps have square headlights. Real Jeeps have round headlights.
I don't know either. It's either that stuff or some people say about the inline 6, the 4.0.
Yeah. Thank God that is not how you look at Jeeps. You're like, it's just something I take off road. Like, anyway. But yeah, just tighten the fan bolts down. The transfer case adapter is in his Jeep already because he's got it mocked up right now. I've been holding him up, so we'll just put this back together and then probably going to have a running and driving Jeep within a week or two, I imagine. So that's it. So thanks for watching.